now gaming with fancy headphones and stuff like that, like these audiophile headphones, and maybe even audiophile like IEMs like I do, which is what most of my channel involves, and maybe you're not using the fancier stuff, and you're just using like pretty okay stuff, you know? Regardless, using higher end, more audiophile kind of headphones and earbuds and whatnot, and you want to squeeze the most out of them because maybe you got them and they weren't the best they can be. And there's a reason for that, and that's basically your whatever you're using to plug them into, like your DAC and amp kind of situation. Now, if you're like an avid gamer who's trying to get the most out of their sound, whether it's going to be like for a competitive edge or just a better, more beautiful, immersive gaming experience, you're going to need to upgrade your DAC and amp system, which is basically just buying a block. Something kind of like these guys. This is like a $130 option, the Fiio K11, and this one here by Topping, which is like the Topping DX3 Pro Plus, I believe. This one sits at $200, and you may be wondering why am I checking these ones out in particular. Well, first of all, they should be a great bang for your buck, and also these were sent out to me for review by Apos Audio, and I do trust them in like their choices because they want like to give me something that isn't too crazy expensive, but you know, it's still really, really good. Mind you, I guess the $200 thing is more expensive, but that's the thing what we're going to look at. Doesn't matter for that price difference. We're, you know, $130 versus $200. Is there a difference that you guys would care about as gamers? I don't know. As audiophiles, maybe, but we're gonna find that out. All right, now inside the boxes, everything is as you'd expect. You're gonna get the DAC amp combos, the cables and whatnot, everything to plug in to make it work. But a big difference between the two is you're gonna notice you're gonna get a remote with the Topping, and that's because unlike the Fiio, which doesn't have Bluetooth, the Topping does, and this does support LDAC. So if you're like a big audiophile who wants like the LDAC codec for high quality audio, that is possible on the Topping. However, well, if you're a gamer, you probably wouldn't be doing that, and you'd actually just be jacking into these guys and going wired. Let's take a closer look at these guys, and let's talk about their builds and inputs and outputs. So, both of them have a very nice metal build. I do like the edgier design of the Fiio. It's just kind of very aesthetic, but if you like that rounder appeal of the Topping, there is that. Rubber feet at the bottom. Giant one for the Fiio, which I do like on the K11. Outputs are similar. There are a few more on the Topping, though I do have some gripes with the Topping because it uses this USB-B port jack thing, and I'm like, why? In this age, why do we need that? Fiio figured it out. USB-C. We should be doing that for everything this current year, you know? It's a modern age, but, you know, even if you do plug them in, you will be needing extra juice because these things need more power to run. Another strange thing is their inputs, outputs on the front. On the more inexpensive model, it's more audiophile focused, using a 1/4-inch jack and a 4.4mm jack. So if you're going to be using like regular 3.5mm like cables, you're going to need an adapter with this guy. Now, luckily for you and me, I did find a 3.5mm to 1/4-inch adapter in the box of the K11. Strangely, on the more expensive of the two, the Topping DX3 Pro, it doesn't have your typical audiophile ports. Instead, it's got a 3.5mm jack. Why? I don't know, but for us regular normies, that's a good thing, because most people will be using a 3.5mm jack. I just think it's strange that the less expensive one has the more commonly audiophile jacks, and then the more expensive one has the very standard thing, so kind of odd. Both of them, anyway, have screens to show you data for when you're using it, and it's on for volume and whatnot, what it's plugged into, and both have really nice knobs. The Topping one has a definitely nicer, more tactile sounding feeling knob. Like, listen to this thing. It's kind of nice. This one's more subtle. Also, something neat about the Fiio K11 is I essentially discovered because I don't read the manual is that you get RGB on top. It does light up. I did assume that it could because of the way it looked when it was off, but you get RGBs for whatever reason. And, you know, if you hold the button here, you can change up the settings and even adjust your RGB, whether you wanted to go like changing what, you know, the flow of color, or do you want to pick your color? You know, kind of cool. This is definitely for the gamers out there, because audiophiles generally don't care about this kind of stuff. Now, after testing these two guys for a while now, I do prefer one over the other for certain games and one over the other for other types of games, and I'll get into that in a little bit, because first I should explain, you know, a little bit about DACs and amps and DAC amp combos, in case you need to know why you want one in general. So, you know, because everything comes with a DAC and an amp built in, whether if it's making audio and whatnot. It's just that dedicated sources for them will use better parts to give you a nicer, cleaner signal and a more detailed sound. Just the way it processes the sound is much better than the typical, more basic level ones built into, like, say, the back of your, PC motherboard, or like into your audio interface even, because my audio interface also has a DAC amp built in, but it's just, much more simple kind of stuff. Decent. These things are a DAC and an amp built in together in one little package, giving you all that nice quality in one go. It's a dedicated piece, therefore your sound, as you can expect from both of these guys, they will both deliver a cleaner, more detailed sound experience. However, they will approach it in both different ways for these guys here. I guess I should start with like the K11. So these guys will generally give you, like I said, that extra quality of sound, more cleanliness, more details, but that's where things get interesting. These things give you an intense amount of detail. The K11 is more analytical in its sound. It gives more boost, I think, in the mids and highs as well, because those sound ranges definitely popped out a lot more and came to my attention when I was listening to music while also playing games. And this is both good and bad, but I'll get into that in just a little bit, because first I gotta also talk about the competitor we have here, which is the more expensive of the two, the topping DX3 Pro Plus. This has a more natural sound approach, so it boosts everything more neutrally. So whatever sound you're hearing right now on like your headphones or your earbuds or even your speakers, just boost the volume a bit, but keep it clean, because with lower quality audio sources or lower quality amps, when you boost the volume, sometimes you introduce some distortion as well as like noise in the background. That hissing when no sound is playing. That's not really going to happen on these guys because they use a higher quality amp built in. With a lower quality amp, you will have that hiss at a higher volume even if nothing's playing, because there's electricity running through it. With a cleaner source, you don't have that problem as badly until you get to like intensely high volumes. Anyway, with a more natural sound, it's smoother, melodic, musical, very enjoyable. You can chill with it. Nothing strikes at you intensely to grab your attention in a way that really snags your attention in almost a jarring kind of manner. It is a nice, enjoyable presentation of sound that is also still much cleaner and detailed than like the other gear that I have over there that I typically use, because it's an audio interface in the back of my PC. Now then, as gamers, this is where things get important as to how these adjust your sound. Due to the way, let's start with the K11s, due to the way this thing has adjusted the sound and boosted bits and pieces in there and provided more details and whatnot and analytical with its analytical nature, it is incredibly good in competitive shooter situations, as you can imagine. All those sounds you typically track for, these will boost those and bring those to your attention. It kind of pushes it in your face almost, so then you can't not track the sounds because they're very much there. Footsteps, it's going to be really much there. Sounds of crunching here and there from trees and whatnot, definitely there. So tracking people in competitive shooters is far better with these guys, just because of the way it has changed the sound experience. If you have analytical sets, it can be a little bit jarring though, but really depends, because maybe you need that to grab your attention so it keeps you safe from getting shot first in the game, getting found first. So competitive shooters, excellent. Non-competitive stuff does an okay job. Sometimes I did think the sound was a bit much. If there's a lot of certain sounds happening, it's a bit much for sound, and maybe that could be a bit fatiguing for some people. But it's still very much usable in those kind of situations. Now, on the other hand, as you can imagine, with a more natural sound, better experience for non-competitive games. I would take the DX3 Pro. I would take the DX3 Pro plus. I would take the DX3 Pro Pluses any day over the K11s if I'm using it just for that more atmospheric experience. If I'm playing a more atmospheric game, open world, or like non-competitive, just immersing myself in the lands and whatnot, listening to things. So I don't have such a attention grabbing experience for just little details of sound. I can choose to listen to them if I want to. Just because it's more of a natural, smoother experience doesn't mean you don't get those nice details. They still are there. They just aren't shoved in your face the same way that the K11s do. And I know saying shoved in your face sounds bad, but that's good for competitive shooters in a sense. Whatever audio experience you're getting from your current headphones or earbuds right now, with the DX3 Pro Pluses, just take that and make it sound better, for lack of a better word. Whereas, if you're going to be using the K11s, take that and make it more intense and more detailed, very detailed. That said, the clear winner for me between the two for most people and most gamers out there, at least the competitive game players, it's definitely the K11s, because first of all, they're $130. They are $70 cheaper than the topping DX3 Pro Pluses. Getting tongue-tied here. And that's a lot of money extra to be paying. But just know that depending on what headphones, what earbuds you use, use, sometimes these details become in a little bit too intensely. It's not like a spicy sound as, you know, like hurting your ears kind of way, but just feels like there's just a lot coming at you. Like maybe information overload in those ranges, you might say. Auditory overload, if like it's happening a lot, as in that's not quite as fun if you're playing like non-competitive stuff. Competitive stuff, you know, you're just expecting that because you're reading through all that and sifting through all that auditory information to find your foes and whatnot. Still, I can't say that the K11 is for everybody, and you already know why if you've been watching this video, because if you know you like a more natural sound, then maybe the topping makes more sense for you, but it doesn't make sense for everybody, because once again, these are both more audiophile products. They're not really meant for gaming, but they can help improve your gaming experience. Like the DX3 Pro Pluses will definitely, you know, just will make your gaming experience nicer, but for the price that it's at and the features it has, it's much more of an audiophile product, so this is definitely for someone who's an audiophile first and a gamer second, or at least, you know, very close in intensity, like you're very much a gamer, very much an audiophile, and you want a better gaming and audio experience at the same time, because these things also cost more because they do have that Bluetooth with LDAC capabilities. And it would make no sense for me to recommend this to someone who isn't going to be at least utilizing the Bluetooth LDAC, because why buy it if you're not going to use that? Because that's a pretty big feature to have on like this DAC amp combo. If I were to recommend something that gives a really nice experience for more atmospheric non-competitive games that doesn't have Bluetooth and is a bit cheaper, there is a set, I have it here. I always forget the name because the names are all kind of funny, but I did review this before, so I'll leave a link for that. It's the X-Duo MT604. It's a, you know, it's a tube amplifier, and it just makes your sound really good. Mixes it bigger overall. The soundstage is nice. Bass is incredible. The only downside is that it uses more audiophile, you know, jacks, so you are going to need adapters if you're going to be using it. I did review it. I'll leave a little like thing in the corner or whatnot up there or somewhere, and I'll also link down there. At the same time, you know, I wonder if I'd feel different about it if I used it now. I kind of want to buy it for myself because I did enjoy it. And once again, it is cheaper than, you know, the DX3 Pro Pluses, because it doesn't have the Bluetooth. It's not a DAC amp combo, but you know, it's still pretty good if you're just going to use it by itself as an amp. Now, that's basically all I have for today. So, you want to buy any of these guys? They all, you know, strike your fancy. I'll leave a link down in the description, as well as like a little video link for that other thing. And yeah, that's basically all I have for today. Competitive gaming, non-competitive gaming, but for most people, I think the K11s would probably be the choice. Audiophiles, I feel like you guys, if you're more into that smooth sound, you know, DX3 Pro Pluses, especially if you use the Bluetooth. Just kind of makes sense if you're going to utilize the Bluetooth. But I digress. See you guys later.